If you already use a ScanSnap scanner, you've probably noticed how ScanSnap Home has continued to evolve with updates designed to improve your scanning experience. So today, I wanted to take a closer look at what's new and show you how these changes can actually fit into your real-life workflow. I'm Sean Dillman, and in this video, I'll walk you through one of the newest ScanSnap Home features called Quick Menu, explain how it fits into the workflow, and share a few practical tips and tricks to help you get even more value out of your current setup. This is for existing ScanSnap users who want to streamline their scanning process and take advantage of the latest improvements in ScanSnap Home. So if you're not already a ScanSnap user, check out my latest video where I explore every scanner in the ScanSnap series and help you decide which one is best for you. Before I begin, please note that this video is sponsored content brought to you by Ricoh, but as always, all the opinions expressed are my own. And before we dive into the details, I'll give you a high-level overview of how the Quick Menu feature fits in with changes to the software. Over time, ScanSnap Home has been refined to support more flexible and efficient ways of working. And what I mean by that is that it's gradually shifted towards making the scanning part faster while giving you more control over what happens after. So now, using the new Quick Menu option, the software really emphasizes quick scanning combined with powerful post-scan options. This gives you more freedom to organize, rename, and share your documents once they're already digitized, instead of having to decide everything up front. And that fits into the broader ScanSnap Home profile system. You can still create specific profiles for workflows you use all the time, but with the Quick Menu profile, you scan first and choose the destination or post-scan action afterwards. Once you understand how these pieces connect, it becomes much easier to adapt ScanSnap Home to different workflows and to the way that you actually work day to day. So with that being said, let's take a look at how this actually works. For this example, I'll take this example bank statement and I'll scan it using the new Quick Menu option. And the important difference here is that I don't have to fully decide what I want to do with the document before I scan it. I can pick up the statement, put it in my scanner, scan it, and then ScanSnap Home gives me the Quick Menu window where I can choose the destination afterwards. And I think that that's really the main point of this feature. It gives you a more flexible way to scan. Instead of having to pick the perfect profile or destination up front, you can get the paper into the scanner, scan it, and then decide where it should go. On the left-hand side, I can choose between my recommended options or view all of the available destinations, and then ScanSnap Home organizes those destinations into different categories, which are computer, send to, cloud storage, office, receipts/accounting documents, and photos. The shorthand way to think of it is like this. Computer includes options to save your scans to destinations on your local computer or network, like ScanSnap Home, searchable PDF, or specific folders, including for pictures and documents. Send to allows you to send your scans to specific software applications, like OneNote, SharePoint, Notion, or your printer or to email. Cloud storage lets you send your scans to OneDrive, Ledger Docs, Google Drive, Evernote, Dropbox, or Box. Office sends your documents to Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, or Word. Receipts/accounting lets you scan into Xero, Shoebox, Rocket Matter, QuickBooks Online, Property Matrix, Concur Expense, and Neat. And Photos lets you scan directly into Google Photos. So for example, using this sample registration form, under Computer, I can save the scan into ScanSnap Home, send it to a folder, or save it to my Documents folder. That part is pretty straightforward, and if you've used ScanSnap Home before, some of these options will probably look familiar. But the nice thing is that they're now gathered together in this Quick Menu, so you can choose them after scanning instead of having to build a separate workflow. Under Send To, we also have options like Scan to Email, Scan to Print, and the newer drag and drop style options. And I think that this is one of the most practical parts of the Quick Menu. One of the most flexible examples is Drag to Send. With Drag to Send, ScanSnap Home prepares the scanned file and then lets you drag and drop it into almost any service or workspace you use, whether that's Slack, an online drive, a browser window, or another app. That basically means ScanSnap can work with almost any service that accepts a dragged-in file, even if there isn't a dedicated ScanSnap destination for that service. And you can use it more than once. If you want the same scan in multiple places, you can keep dragging and dropping the document as many times as you need, and then click Finish when you're done. These drag and drop options are also helpful because they let you preview the document verify the scan, and even change the title before you send it. For example, if I choose Drag to OneNote, ScanSnap Home gives me a window where I can drag the scanned file directly into OneNote. When I release the mouse button, OneNote asks whether I want to attach the file or insert it as a printout. If I attach it, it appears as a PDF file inside the OneNote page. If I insert it as a printout, the scanned document is embedded directly into the page, where I can move it around, resize it, copy it, paste it, or work with it like any other content inside OneNote. And if I right-click on the inserted printout, I can even copy text from the image, which can be extremely useful if I'm working with scanned paperwork, notes, forms, or reference materials. So the drag to workflow options is one of the places where I think the quick menu actually becomes more than just a list of destinations. It gives you a quick way to scan something and then drop it into the app or workspace where you're already working. Next, we have the cloud storage options. And this is something I get asked about fairly often, because a lot of people don't want to just scan to their computer anymore. They want to scan directly into the place where they store and organize their files. So if your workspace is based around OneDrive or Google Drive, or if you use Dropbox or another cloud service, this is where those options appear. And I'm not going to go through the full cloud setup process in this video, because I already have other videos on ScanSnap Home and ScanSnap Cloud, where I walk you through the setup and go into more detail about those workflows. The main thing to know here is that the quick menu makes those destinations easier to access right after you scan. Also, another thing I get asked about often is whether it's possible to scan directly to these cloud services without using your computer. And the answer is yes, if you're using a Wi-Fi enabled scanner like the ScanSnap iX2500, iX1300, or iX100. Once you've set up ScanSnap Cloud and ScanSnap Home, you can scan directly from your ScanSnap scanner to different cloud services right from your scanner. No computer necessary. Going back to the quick menu, which does use your computer, there are also Office options for PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. So if you need to extract information into these applications, those options are available here as well. But where I think things get really interesting is under the Receipts and Accounting Documents section. Here you can see options for services like Xero, Shoebox, Rocket Matter, Concur Expense, Neat, and QuickBooks Online. And QuickBooks Online is probably the big one that will stand out for a lot of small business owners. If you're scanning receipts, invoices, or accounting paperwork, scanning directly into QBO from this menu can be very useful. For small businesses, bookkeepers, or anyone who regularly scans financial paperwork, this is exactly the kind of destination that can make ScanSnap Home feel more connected to the way that you actually work. And finally, under Photos, there's also a great option for Google Photos. This is worth pointing out because a lot of people use their ScanSnap not just for paperwork, but also for family photos. So if you're scanning photos and you already use Google Photos as your main photo library, which is actually something that I use, this gives you another powerful destination right inside the quick menu. Here I am scanning a stack of 25 photos from my 2009 trip to Venice. Using the quick menu, once the scan is complete, I'll click Google Photos. The software takes a moment to prepare the data, and then each of the 25 photo files are uploaded to my Google Photos account. Once the upload is finished, I can go over to Google Photos, and because I just uploaded these photos, they appear under the heading Today. The next thing I want to do is organize them into an album. To do that, I'll click the plus icon in the top right corner and choose to create a new album. I'm going to call this album 2009 Venice Trip, and then click OK. Now Google Photos asks me to add photos to the album. Since all of these photos were just uploaded today, I can click the checkbox next to Today to select all 25 photos and then add them to the album. Now I have the photos grouped together in one place, which makes them much easier to find later. The next thing I'm going to do is quality check the orientation of the photos. I'll click on the first photo, and then I can use the left and right arrow keys on my keyboard to move through the set. If I come across a photo that needs to be rotated, I can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+R to rotate it. ScanSnap Home includes software that can detect faces and try to orient photos automatically, but I didn't enable that feature for this batch because most of these photos are scenery, buildings, canals, and other travel shots which don't contain people's faces. So it's not a problem for me to rotate the pictures manually, and it only takes a few moments. Once I'm done checking the photos, I'll press the Escape key to go back out to the album view. And now you can see that all of my photos are nicely oriented and organized inside my 2009 Venice Trip album. Another thing worth pointing out is that Google Photos has also created an album called ScanSnap. If I click into that album, I can see my Venice photos, and the next time I upload photos from my ScanSnap, those photos will also appear in the ScanSnap album, in addition to any separate albums I create myself. So this is a really useful feature. It makes it easy to scan a stack of printed photos, upload them to Google Photos, and then quickly organize them into albums that I can share with friends and family. And if you want more information about scanning old photos, I have a full video on that topic that walks you through the process in more detail. Now, one last thing I want to mention about the new Quick Menu feature is that you don't necessarily have to scroll through every single option every time. You can favorite the destinations you use most, pin them in the favorites category, and arrange the menu so that your most common workflows are easier to reach. And over time, ScanSnap Home can also suggest commonly used destinations as part of your workflow. Another useful detail is that if you use a destination from Quick Menu 3 times, ScanSnap Home will ask whether you want to make it a profile. If you click yes, it can automatically create that profile for you on your ScanSnap so that you don't even need to go through the Quick Menu for that destination anymore. So the more you use it, the more the Quick Menu becomes a personalized launching point for the places where your scans go most often. And to me, that's a real benefit. So with that, there you have it. That's how the new Quick Menu option works in ScanSnap Home, and why I think it's a valuable update for anyone who wants a faster and more flexible scanning workflow. Again, the main point is not that every single destination is brand new. Some of these options have already existed in ScanSnap Home for quite a while. The real improvement is that Quick Menu lets you scan first and then decide what to do with the document afterward. So whether you want to save a file to your computer, send it to OneNote, upload it to OneDrive or Google Drive, scan receipts into QuickBooks Online, or even send photos directly to Google Photos, Quick Menu gives you a simple way to choose the right destination after the scan is complete. And I think that that's closer to how real-life scanning actually works. Sometimes you know exactly where something needs to go, but other times you just want to get the paper scanned and then decide where it belongs in a folder, cloud service, app, or somewhere else. And in some cases, the Quick Menu can also help you discover destinations or actions you may not have realized were available in ScanSnap Home in the first place. So if you liked this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd also love to hear how you use your ScanSnap scanner. Do you usually scan everything into folders and then organize it later? Or do you prefer sending each scan directly to its final destination right away? Write a comment below this video and let me know. Thanks again for watching. As always, I'm Sean Dillman.